Saddam Hussein and his sons must leave Iraq within 48 hours.
No sign that the attack is imminent, but that of course
We're seconds away from 4 a.m. there, and time is up.
At this hour, American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations.
At Baghdad now, a journalist is on the phone, May Yang Welsh. May, tell our viewers what you're seeing and what you're hearing right now.
About maybe 2 minutes ago, I heard a huge bomb going off.
I remember right before the war, there was a huge press corps. And I just remember one day, all of that media just sort of went away.
I can tell you that there's smoke coming out of the foreign ministry.
The more I saw other people leave, the more sure I was that I had to stay, because who was going to be here to witness this? And who was going to tell the world what happened here?
We're now rolling up to the northern berm. Just a few more feet and we'll be inside Iraq.
I feel it's becoming more dangerous for journalists than it did in the past, because in some places they're considered fair game. Whereas in the past, if journalists were caught up in a crossfire battle, okay, that's fine, but deliberately gunning them down, no.
Among the journalists who disappeared in Baghdad, the prize-winning photographer Molly Bingham. She was covered conflicts in Afghanistan as well as Gaza. Colleagues say Bingham was taken by Iraqi security officers in the pre-dawn
This was myself. You know, the rules of war are vague these days, and it's hard for journalists to know when they're safe and when they need protection. Fear is very natural, and that fear is quite appropriate, and it sharpens your senses.
The battle for Baghdad has begun. American tanks are in the center of the Iraqi capital.
At the moment, the death toll, as you say, 8 confirmed.
When you're in a war, you're tested every single moment. Can I do this? How can I do this? You have to rely on your wits, on your ability to deal with people, and on your ability not to panic, not to be afraid that that shell that just came in is going to kill you.
It was a fierce battle. There were people, civilians, injured. They said some were killed. So this is just one indication that the war is not yet over.
But, you know, it's a very addictive drug, this kind of reporting. And if you said to me now, you know, this is your last chance that you're going to do something like this, I would find that incredibly painful, you know, because I really believe very strongly that as reporters, we do have this obligation to bear witness. I've had several experiences that I wouldn't want to repeat, to put it that way. I think the absolute worst was probably the fall of Grozny in Chechnya. I was alone with a German photographer, Thomas Dvorak. We're the only reporters inside Chechnya. Grozny fell very quickly, and we were trapped in a suburb with the retreating Chechens, getting pummeled by aerial bombardment, by tanks surrounding the suburb. And the story was that at daybreak they were going to come in and cleanse the town. So we sat up all night in this village with the soldiers, knowing that we were, you know, either going to die in the morning or live. We didn't know. Then, some miracle, and it was a miracle, the Chechen who had brought us into Grozny appeared in a car. The Chechen women dressed me up like a Chechen. Someone handed me a screaming kid, and we drove out as refugees. So we made the news call that Grozny had fallen. If we hadn't done that, there was no wire service, there was no one. It would not have been documented.
Our lives aren't routine. You know, you can get a phone call anytime to go somewhere. But this is what I like about it. It's not routine. And we take cautious, calculated risks. I don't know, maybe when I first started out, I did some foolish things. Now, no. I've had friends killed. I've had other friends that have been shot, including Ben. No, don't do foolish things.
What we said to each other before we came here, and we still feel that way, is the story we've been working on is the only one that hasn't been covered and that matters.
We're interviewing the Iraqi resistance, essentially. You know, I'd never seen one of these guys come on television and say, well, this is what I am. So we decided, well, let's go and ask them, which is what we did.
Who are they? What's your background? What are you loyal to? What do you believe in? Why are you doing this? What do you hope to achieve by it?
We decided to come and be the Mujahideen in Iraq for the sake of Allah. When I left my house, my family, my mother, all of them, they held a ceremony like a wedding for me to go and fight on jihad. My mother told me, I don't want you to come back to me alive. I want you to return as a martyr.
Right around the corner from my hotel, there was a big car bombing. I just remember all of a sudden there was this huge explosion, and my windows right in front of me turned bright orange and black and shattered into my face. And the glass is still on my floor. And I don't want to clean it up because I just want to remember that night. Because that's the night I realized there's no protection for anybody. I'm afraid. And that's one thing that's really changed. Before I was not afraid here. I was walking around thinking, you know, somehow I'm protected. And that, now I just think that's incredibly naive. I'm not protected at all.
What really gets to you is a personal terror, which you have to stick down. But what was coming up in my nightmares, and it was almost paralyzing, was the tragedy and the misery of it. Sometimes your brain just overloads, and dead people haunt you. Come back to haunt you.